We've got to discuss your confrontation with Republican Congressman Glenn Grothman after he made an outrageous claim about Black Lives Matter and family values. Let's listen to it.
I know the strength that Black Lives Matter had in this last election. I know it's a group that it doesn't like the old-fashioned family. Disturbed that we have another program here in which we're increasing the marriage penalty.
How dare you say that Black Lives Matter, Black people do not understand old-fashioned families. Despite some of the issues, some of the things that you have put forward that I've heard out of your mouth in the Oversight Committee, in your own district, we have been able to keep our families alive for over 400 years, and the assault on our families to not have Black lives or not even have Black families. How dare you say that we are not interested in families in the Black community? That is outrageous.
What is going on? What do you think about the state of the GOP, especially the leadership right now? Is it about the policy of white grievance?
Well, I don't know what their policy is. I just feel that they're becoming more and more emboldened in what they're willing to say. The fact that the GOP leadership does not respond to individuals within their caucus making these kinds of statements is just as difficult to contain myself about than the individuals themselves who are making the statements. The fact that there were those individuals in leadership on the GOP side that were right there, who never said anything, who smirked, who listened to individuals, not just Grothman, but other members of their caucus, making the most outlandish of claims, and they're never checked on it, means that they have a level of comfort that over the last 4 years have given them a feeling of respectability in their entitlement, in some of them's racism, that needs to be checked. As I said to you and others, I did not intend to go on the floor to have a discussion about Black Lives Matter, about Black families. I was there to talk about how this rescue plan was going to lift up tens of millions of children out of poverty, that is creating equity within Black communities, that is going to support our restaurant, our hospitality community sector, that there's small business set-asides for minority communities, and that are going to allow our children to get back to school. That's what I was there to talk about. And yet we get segued. And, you know, I am not going to let someone, particularly a white man, assault Black families who have, for the past 400 years in this country, been able to maintain themselves, maintain a semblance of community, maintain a semblance of family after the assault on our very existence. Black Lives Matter was there to ensure that Black lives could exist, so that we could have fathers and brothers and husbands in our households.
Delegate Plaskett, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.